Welcome everybody, J.R. Fisher here, and I'm joined by Jessica. How you doing today, Jessica?
I'm awesome. Happy Friday the 13th.
I did kind of switch this up today. I was originally going to do some SEO stuff, which I'm still going to do on next Friday, but I did an interview yesterday with Nate Lind. And for those of you who don't know Nate, he actually interviewed me, so it's not the other way around. But he sold $100 million worth of products online. So it was a really interesting conversation. It was a private interview that you guys don't have access to. So, since you're inner circle, and I know we've invited a few people that aren't inner circle on this call, but since you're inner circle, I wanted to give you access to this call. So it's pretty cool. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to pull that up, and it is a special event. And it was for his group called Ecom Empire and Ecom Legends. He runs a mastermind, which I've been to. Really awesome mastermind. I think it's like $2,000 a month, something like that. So if you've got an extra $24,000 a year, you can join his mastermind, or you could join my inner circle if you're just visiting here, and then a few $100, which is pretty inexpensive. And we give you software and training and all kinds of good stuff. He's more into events. So if you're into doing 4 events a year, that's kind of what he does. All right, so I want to pull this up, and I'm going to start it, and it has a little conversation of us talking before the interview there, so you're going to get to see everything. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this.
Actually, it's going to take a second to set it up.
Yeah, I bought some software the other day to do this, and it didn't work with a darn Minicam.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There is a number of different softwares out there that set this up.
Most of them don't work.
Exactly right. We are rocking and rolling live. Hi, everybody. Nate Lind from Ecom Empires, along with J.R. Fisher, distinguished member of Ecom Legends. This is a multi-part featurette of Ecom Legends members for the world of Ecom Empires to see. So JR has been to a number of our events, and we look forward to seeing him at some of our upcoming events as well. And we've had a number of conversations about e-commerce, and JR does quite a bit of it himself. He's going to share a little bit of his story. I'll get into here in a second, and then also we're going to talk about some nuggets that he can help you guys with. So for those of you that are watching, if you are Ecom Legends members, this specific video is tuned a little bit more towards the Ecom Empires universe. So people that are in their starting mode, trying to get to that first $1 million worth of sales, that first $100,000 worth of sales. So we're going to talk a little bit about JR's background in that. But before we do that, the most pressing question I have, JR, is where are you from?
What's going on, Nate? Where am I from? Oh my God, that's a long answer. You're probably sorry you asked that. I was born in Virginia. I've lived in Cyprus, Nicosia. I've lived in Western Germany. I've lived in Cuba. Went to high school in Memphis, Tennessee, and I'm now in San Diego, California. So I'm still growing up, by the way.
We all are. JR, what's your favorite and your go-to order at your favorite restaurant there in San Diego?
It's got to be a sushi place right down the street from my house. And I like chirashi, of all things, which is really a bowl of rice with a bunch of raw fish dumped on top.
Yeah.
So it doesn't sound too appetizing, but it's awesome at that restaurant. It's called Kappa Sushi.
It's kind of like the poke bowls, right?
Yes, but no. They don't mix anything in with the fish. So it's just fish.
Fish and rice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty basic, but it's really good if you get to the right kind of restaurant.
For those of you watching, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, let us know that you can hear us okay, you can see us great. JR's got an awesome lighting rig set up. I've got my lights all set up. You guys can see every little pockmark on my face. You can notice I've trimmed my beard, and I've instantly regretted it. For some reason, I took my shaver the other day, and I was like, dang it, it's freaking hot here in Texas, and I was getting some beard itch going on. I'm running out of my favorite beard oil, and so I took a razor to it, trimmed it down to a number 3, and damn, I miss it. I totally feel like I'm naked, although I can feel the wind on my face for the first time in like 3 or 4 years. So that's an interesting experience. All right, so let's get into the meat of this. JR, you came from a corporate background. Why did what made you decide to leave your corporate job to start selling stuff online?
You know, I've had so many people ask me this question, and it's the simplest answer, and it's the number one reason that people leave their jobs. I didn't like my boss. You know, I mean, I was paid well and I had a good position. I had a lot of authority. I didn't like my boss. I just didn't like him. I didn't like him personally. I didn't like him morally. I just didn't like him. And, you know, that sounds crazy, but I mean, at that point, I told myself if I could go make half of what my salary was on my own, it would be worth it. And that was my motivation. And when you get to that point of disgust, because disgust is the greatest motivator in the world. There's just nothing better than that. Then you'll just do anything. And that's pretty much what I did. I was just kicking and screaming, you know, at that point.
Yeah, I left my corporate job. Very similar situation. It wasn't so much about my boss that I hated. I hated the commute, and I hated the time investment that like every dollar I sunk into, you know, working for this, at this point in time, it was Bank of America. I was a vice president there. It just felt to me like every minute and hour I sunk into it, I was never going to see it back again. And it didn't really matter how hard I worked. I wasn't going to make any more money. So It just, I don't have the mindset to just punch the clock. That part kills me. So I don't like that part one bit. Good. Okay. So JR, what kind of technical skills do people need to sell online?
I'm laughing because I was having a hard time typing, even, you know, talking to you here. I can't type. So that was the level of my technical skills. I had like 2 fingers on one hand and 3 on the other. And I mean, literally, I couldn't send emails properly. Now, this is a true story. One day I'm messing around with my email, and some of you guys are going to laugh at me about this. And I look up and I see this button that says forward and reply. I'm like, what the heck is that? That looks pretty cool. And then I had this epiphany. I was like, oh my God, you mean I don't have to copy and paste this thing into another email every day? I can actually just forward an email. So that's how technically retarded I was at the time. And I've grown a little bit since then, but I'm telling you, it's not technical knowledge that you need. You know, that's the big thing that stops a lot of people. They're like, well, I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about that. You don't have to. You need to know the process and apply the process, and then it works. Because I still can't type, and that's been 10 years ago. And I've even tried these little typing courses you do, and I can't do it. Can't do it.
So, JR, what have you found to be the biggest struggle in running an online business?
Wow. You know, I think this is probably true whether it's online or any other kind of business where you're working on your own. You have to learn to self-motivate. I think a lot of people say, well, now I've got the freedom so I can sleep in a little bit more, or now I've got the freedom so I can take a longer lunch, or, you know, now I could just go to the movies at 3 p.m. instead of working. And that's the killer of most people. I will tell you, it does afford you time to do what you want when you want. And that's pretty cool. However, you need to work. And, you know, I don't want to sugarcoat anything and tell people I don't work, because I work my butt off. I probably worked 13 hours yesterday. I don't have to, but I think it's really important. If you want to have an online business and you want to grow it, you've got to invest in it. And, you know, I told myself that, you know, I was working a lot of hours when I was working my corporate job. And I told myself, you know, that if I worked for myself, I would work at least that number of hours because I was doing it for me. I wasn't doing it for somebody else. And I think you're cheating yourself if you say, I want to start a business so I don't have to work, because that's the worst motivation in the world to start a business, is so that you don't have to work as much. Now, you're going to get to that stage where you can do that, and that's cool. I mean, the end of this month, I'm heading to Cancun with my wife, and we're going to hang out at the ClickBank Platinum Summit. And, you know, as a matter of fact, I met you there, Nate, and yeah, that's cool to be able to do that. I couldn't do that on my other job. But, you know, I've been in, I think, 6 or 7 different countries this year, which is awesome. But when I get there, I don't just sit. I'll generally do some work. So, you know, I would say the biggest struggle you're going to have is self-motivation. Now, if you've got self-motivation already and you can do that, you're going to kick butt online. If you apply that to yourself as opposed to an entire business, you can get so much more done. I know when I was in my corporate job, it was like, you know, if I had an idea, first I had to present the idea, and then people had to approve the idea, and then we had to implement the idea, and then we had to have the resources for the idea. And now if I get an idea, I get up and do it, which is really pretty cool. And nobody tells me no, you know, which is awesome. And not all my ideas are good, but, you know, some of them are, and some of them have really worked out. And I think, you know, anybody out there that's hearing this should understand, if you've got the motivation, all the other stuff will fall in place. All the technical stuff, websites, SEO, all that crap will fall in place. You've just got to have the motivation to really put forth the effort.
Yeah, and there's tons of resources available for people. Nick has made a number of posts. He's recorded and made available for free a tremendous amount of information for people to get started. So that's if you haven't seen those, you can click on the announcements in this group and go and take a look at that. JR is going to share with you some resources, or with everybody some resources that he has available too towards the end of this. But yeah, motivation is a big thing for me. The sense of freedom, you can immediately get a sense of freedom because you're not having to do the commute and you don't have to report in from 9 to 5 and that sort of stuff. But you're absolutely right. I think a lot of people they've clung on to this idea of the entrepreneurial life as that 4-hour work week. And the reality is it takes many cases years to get to that. In some cases, people never do. That's a lofty goal to get to. It's very rare to start a business, work a 4-hour work week, and have the income that you once had in corporate America.
I've worked 4 hours before on a project and forgot to save it and lost it. So.
Yeah, exactly. JR, is it possible for the average guy to start a business, and how much time and money does it really take? I get that question all the time. People, they've got small budgets. They don't have a whole lot of time because they're working. What have you found to be the case?
Yeah, here's the deal. It doesn't really take money. It takes effort. And I'm going to run right back to that again. I started with $100 on a credit card. So I guess I didn't even start with $100, right? Because it was on a credit card. So it really wasn't a matter of money. It was a matter of me trying to figure out what worked and what didn't work. Back then, which is almost 10 years ago now, it is 10 years ago, I started in December 2009, and there really were no resources. The only people out there that were trying to tell you how to make money were people selling courses on how to make money, and they had never made money. It was like, I would look them up and I would say, okay, I want to learn e-commerce. I want to learn how to sell products. They're like, oh yeah, we can show you how to make money online. I'm like, what products did you sell? And they were like, well, I don't. I sell courses. I'm like, well, how do you know that your stuff works? I mean, that's insane. So, over the years, I've developed things that have worked, and my background, Nate, but, I own a survival food company, and I've had that for 10 years, and we're on thousands of websites. We're on Walmart's website. I've learned what works. And at the end of the training, it's like you said, I'll give everybody listening a free course on that. You don't have to buy anything. You have to do anything, just free stuff. And it's stuff that I learned along the way that actually works, that you can apply. But anybody can do this. If you have average intelligence, and, Nate, I've been on a couple meetings with you, and you've seen some of the people in the room, and they're all really nice. But I don't think you'd look around the room and go, this is a room full of brain surgeons. They're just people who worked hard, put forth some effort, and they had, here's the key, they had some techniques that worked. And, nowadays it's a little bit easier. I think it's a whole lot easier nowadays because there's softwares that open up that will automate stuff for you. There's courses from people, I have courses, and there's courses from people who've actually done it. And you can actually go online now and Google somebody's name. I always tell somebody, if you want to check me out, go to Google, type in J.R. Fisher and just read. It's the simplest thing in the world to do. And you can see if somebody's actually done something or not. Not to mention, like I watched one of Nick's videos the other day on YouTube, and he's doing some videos on YouTube. I do videos on YouTube. I shot, I think, 6 videos yesterday alone for YouTube. There's just so much knowledge out there now. The barrier to entry is almost zero. If you've got a mobile phone, and I would say you have to have a laptop for some of the things. I can't do everything on my mobile phone. Then you can go into business. I mean, really, is that easy? If you think of doing like a restaurant, oh, holy crap! You got to get permits, and you're going to have to get furnishings on the inside, and you're going to have to get a good location, and you're going to have to put down thousands of dollars for rent. And then when you open the doors, you're going to have to hope that somebody comes in and buys your food. Online, it's not like that. There's millions of people there, and you can get in front of them today. I was just doing some ads before I talked to you, Nate, and I always start my ads with $5 a day, $5. Most people have $5, and I'll start a series of 10 or 12 ads at $5. Most of them won't work, but 2 or 3 of them always do, and then I scale those up and spend more on them with the money I made from them. So you don't have to have all these resources that you think you have to have. And I will tell you, a lot of people use lack of resources as an excuse not to get started. I see that over and over again. They were like, well, I don't have this, and I don't have the best camera, and my computer's not that fast. And I mean, I do this. You can go to Starbucks every day if you don't have an internet connection, and you can work there for free. I mean, I do it just to get out of the house. And I have an office down the road from my house, but I don't really like going to an office. So, I mean, I'm at Starbucks, and I've met a lot of people in San Diego, I guess is chock full of them, but I've met a lot of people in San Diego that are digital marketers and sell stuff online hanging out at Starbucks. Yep. So don't use that for an excuse. Don't do that. If you hear yourself saying, I don't have, that's BS. Yeah. Because I don't care if it's an asset or it's knowledge, it's there for you for free nowadays.
What if people don't have an actual product to sell? Can they still get started?
Oh my God. Yeah, I got started. I started with cell phone cases. And my rationale was, well, everybody's got a cell phone. So then I looked on eBay and I found that the number one selling thing was a cell phone case. So I'm like, that's where I want to be. And it was a miserable failure. It did terrible. And the bad thing was back then, Nate, and you know this to be true, you had to buy product and then hope it sold. And I mean, that was my closet had so many cell phone cases by the time I closed that I was selling them in bulk to anybody else that would buy them back from me on eBay. And I was making like 20 or 30 cents on each one. And I would have to come in late at night, put it in a pouch and seal it. Hey, nowadays they've got Aliexpress. And, that's part of the stuff that I do training on. But you can literally find hot products on Aliexpress. You can list them for sale on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you want to put them, and sell them. And then once you sell them and collect the money, you can then pay the manufacturer, the distributor, and they'll ship it out to your customer. You didn't have to do anything. You couldn't do that 10 years ago. It didn't exist. I had a warehouse full of tools and gadgets and crap that never sold that I invested money in. I mean, it was a nightmare. And nowadays, it's just so much easier. Just find a hot product and put it up for sale. Simple.
I had a conversation with an entrepreneur just yesterday that was starting their process, and when I kind of heard the outline of the plan, and part of it was to find, acquire, and then house inventory like right up front. My immediate reaction was, oh God, please don't do that. Don't invest in inventory until you've built the entire, sales funnel and you're getting sales, and, pair up with somebody, drop ship, do contract manufacturing, private labeling, whatever it is, do something like that first. But, this brings me to my next question. There's a lot of haters in drop shipping. Isn't drop shipping a thing of the past, or is it still relevant?
That's so funny. It's funny because I'm on both sides. We will find a product and we'll drop ship it. But understand, we manufacture survival foods, and I drop ship every day. And I drop ship for this little company called Walmart. So it's like people go to Walmart's website, and I would say a good 90% of the products there are drop ship. So if you think the biggest retailer in the world, is wrong, well, there you go. Drop shipping is not dead at all. I guess the biggest complaint I see about drop shipping is it takes longer to get to the customer. But you know what? If you tell your customer up front, hey, Nate, this is a hot product, and there's a 14 to 21 day shipping time, or whatever the shipping time is, they get it. They're okay with it. If you don't tell them and they're expecting, 1 day delivery like Amazon, you're kind of screwed. But I tell you what, if you go into Amazon right now, and I've seen this, there's a lot of products in there that are drop shipped from China right now, and it says 14 to 21 days in Amazon. You can find them there now. Because I've clicked on stuff and I've seen some of the shipping time, and I'm like, that guy's drop shipping. He's drop shipping at Amazon. And understand, Amazon doesn't ship a lot of this stuff. There's individuals that are shipping stuff, drop shipping stuff, sending it on their own. So, drop shipping is not dead, and it's probably in its infancy right now because, that whole Aliexpress, Alibaba thing has grown so much, and there's so much volume on it right now that, now is the time to get into it because people get it now. When I got started, they didn't want to put their credit card online for fear that somebody would steal it. Nowadays we don't think twice about pulling out our credit card. We don't think twice. I mean, my wife has bought so many cat related things. She's into animal rescue and all this. And, I'll see her with a new shirt and I'll say, where'd you get that? And she goes, oh, I got it on Facebook. This little ad popped up and, I thought it was kind of cool. I'm like, well, what'd you pay for it? And she's like, this is $35. I said, you spent $35 for a t-shirt? $35? And the fact is, they're impulse sales. And, something I want to add to this, because this is another thing that stops people, Nate, is they go, well, I've got to build out this website and I need to put, I need to have at least a couple hundred products. I want to have a really cool logo. And no. Here's what you need to do. You need to have one sales page, one, and you need to put a product there and get it to sell, and then build everything else around it. People don't give a crap about your logo. And I think that's the one thing that people spend more time on than anything else is some friggin' logo. And I don't know if it's right and the colors aren't right. They don't care. They don't care. Look at Nike's logo right now. It's a swoosh. That's it. They don't care. They care about the product. They care that it's unique. They care that the timing was right when they were scrolling through. That's what they care about. So don't get hung up on, I've got to build this big website. Because what you're doing is you're spending hours and hours of time building something that has a whole bunch of products that probably nobody wants. So why'd you do that? You do a whole lot better to take 100 products and do 100 different sales pages and run ads for all of those and find out which one worked and then build more products around that. That's the way you want to do it.
Yep, I've got a quick story about that. So in 2011, when I first got started, that was my thinking. I was like, okay, well, I need to have a whole bunch of stuff. So I was selling vitamins and supplements at the time. And we worked with this agency who was helping us put together sales funnels and that sort of stuff. I'll never forget them because at the end of paying them about $25,000, which I would never do again, I pretty much didn't get anything for it. And they had such an ironclad contract. It was almost like it was designed to get $25,000 out of people and then tell them basically to F off and then disappear. And that son of a gun is still on my shit list. I won't publicly destroy him and eviscerate him right here, right now. But if you catch me at one of my events and hand me a beer, I'll spill the beans. But anyways, what I did and what I thought was right is exactly what you just said. I came up with me and some partners came up with a mental clarity vitamin, a focus, a sleep aid. We had a dietary supplement. I think we had like 7 products. So we were building all of this stuff out for 7 products. And none of them saw the light of the day, except for in the beginning, a dietary supplement. And everybody's looking to lose weight. It's probably one of the easiest places that you can get started in the world of supplements and vitamins. You've got to offer something of value now. You did back then too, but whatever it is that you're offering has to actually work, has to be good. But at the same time, what I realized is I wasted a ton of money trying to get a whole bunch of stuff up and going. And I would never do that again. I'd, find and pick something and stick with it, do some of the user testing. I know you shared with me some stories about how you test products with live traffic and see, what people's interest levels are before you go on investing into significant infrastructure, funnels or other stuff.
Yeah. And, another thing you want to be really careful about nowadays, because the landscape has really changed and it protects the consumer nowadays. So you got to have a good product. And I read an article the other day about Google, and they have just disallowed any product that makes any claims that it's going to help people without any scientific background. So that's wiped out a lot of supplements and all that stuff. You can't advertise on Google anymore because they're just saying, hey, unless you've got proof that it does what you say, there's none of this disclaimer that, we're not making any claim. You hear it all the time on the radio, but that's gone. That's gone. So you can't do that. So if you think you're going to jump into something like that, don't do it. Just pick a product that really works. And that's really not that hard to do, because what you can do, and we have a couple little systems for doing it, but you can go into Facebook and you can actually search the ads and find out which ones are getting likes and shares and all that stuff. And then you can actually, if it's a bit.ly link, you can actually just put in that link and put a plus symbol after it and go to that actual bit.ly link statistics. And you can see how many people clicked on it, how many people went there, and over what period of time.
Guys, I think we lost our feed, which has happened to me a couple times on this. So let's get back to it. I'm here live. We just lost our feed for a second. So give me 1 second to get back to it. So we have to pull that back up again. I'm going to put you back on this other screen, guys, real quick. And if you got questions too, you can go ahead and stick them in there. We're live right now. So go ahead and stick those in there. That's not a problem. 1 second until I find this thing. And let's see here. Where are we at? Oh, getting some questions. All right. Who is Nate Lynn? Nate is a guy that runs a,
oh shoot, what do you want to call it? I guess a mastermind type thing. Would you call it, Jessica? Help me out, Jessica.
Yeah. Well, he just told you he started in supplements.
Right.
Right. And now he facilitates group events.
And what exactly does that mean to you? How would you describe that to people?
Well, I've only been to one of his events so far, and it was actually really, really good. He gets entrepreneurs and business owners who are doing really well into a group together, and he just facilitates, meetings and roundtable discussions and all kinds of stuff so that they can help each other because they all have different areas of expertise and different things they're doing that are working for them. And sometimes it just takes a fresh set of eyes to look at what you're doing and say, you could really change this up and do a lot better. And so he facilitates that kind of thing, and it was good.
Thank you for filling in while I pulled up my screen. And I have it back here, guys, so I'm going to get back to this interview.
And then we'll go home and we'll compare everything, and then we'll make a decision. So that's their plan, all right? Now, what happens when they get to a car dealership is an idiot car salesperson will run up to them and go, hey, welcome to the dealership. I'm going to get you a great deal today. If you want to buy a car today, I got some specials, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no. Just leave us alone. We just want to walk around. So now not only has he lost the sale, those people don't even want to talk to that person. So in sales, and this is not a sales course, but in sales, you have to know what the objections are before you get in front of your prospect. And this is true if you have a sales page, if you're listing a product, if you're running an ad, it all is the same. If you can describe those pain points better than them, you're going to sell them. And I'll give you an example. What I taught the salespeople to do is to go up to a consumer, and the first thing they were supposed to say is, hey, there's no pressure here today. Don't feel like you have to buy anything. As a matter of fact, if you want to drive some cars, feel free to do so. And if you'd like, before you leave, I'll give you the numbers, what the car would sell for, your interest rates, your payments. If you have a trade-in, I'll tell you what it's worth. And then if you want to leave and go compare it to some other dealerships, feel free to do so. Is that fair enough? And the people would just fall back and they'd be like, oh my God, that's exactly what we wanted to do. How'd you know that? Well, we knew that because that's everybody. Everybody does that. So why in the world are we not bringing up their objections? If you bring up their objections up front, you're the one who brings them up and you handle them. They are not objections at the end. A lot of people say, well, I'm a great closer. When people have an objection in the end, I can handle it. You shouldn't have to. That means you didn't do your job. You should have brought up the objection. You should have handled it in the beginning, and they won't have it in the end. So if you think that way when you're doing a sales page, and you list all the problems and list all the solutions that you have, you're going to do a whole lot better online. So I'd say selling is the thing, not this technology crap. And what I study every day is selling, but I always look for the newest softwares too. And we mentioned it when we got started here. I just tried a new live software. It was horrible. And I contacted support and they didn't return my calls and they didn't return my emails. It was just terrible. But I've also, tried other softwares, and I'll give a plug for Kartra. It's really good. Check it out. But, there's other things that keep coming available out there, and I can't count. I started off with Constant Contact, and then I had Aweber, and then I had Infusionsoft, and now I have Kartra. And, I hear people say, well, I don't want to switch from this platform to this platform because it'll take so much time. Time is so important. I don't want to invest all that time. Well, time's going to pass anyhow. You're just going to be left on a crappy platform, if you don't move along. So you got to constantly look and see what software is out there. Who's got a good idea out there, who's doing different ads. I use another software where I can spy on people's ads on YouTube. And what it does is it goes in there and it pulls ads based on a subject or a person's name or their channel. And I can sort it by how long the ad's been running. Well, if I see an ad's been running for 8 months or, a year and a half, I'm going to go, well, you know what? That's probably working. They wouldn't pay for that for a year and a half. And I could look at that ad and I could do a similar one, of which I filmed 9 ads yesterday for YouTube by doing it that way. But I looked at a whole bunch of other people's stuff first that were successful. That's the key. Look at other people's stuff that have success and just emulate it. Don't copy it. Don't do exactly. Don't try to be them because that won't work.
but you can emulate it, you know? So I would say you got to learn every day. It's like you said at the beginning, crazy not to.
We've got a question from Aaron Penn. He's asking, he's saying, one of the main problems I have is creating good ad content, especially video, which can be very expensive. Any suggestions you have for that?
I would say, number one, don't outsource anything until you know how to do it.
Mm.
Okay, and I see that happen a lot. They're like, well, I got to find somebody to do some good videos for me, or I got to find somebody to write some great copy for me. This is not expensive, really. I will tell you 6 of the 9 ads I did yesterday were on my cell phone. 6 of the 9 ads I did were on my cell phone. 3 of them was me walking around a lake, holding a selfie stick, talking. Okay, so you know, and at this level, I can spend money. I mean, I've got a nice setup here in my office right now, and I've got 2 angles of camera. I got all that stuff, but it won't work well on YouTube because it looks too produced. So it's not really that. I use somebody to edit my videos, but I learned to do it first because here's the deal: if you hire somebody to do something, and that is expensive, and you can't do that on down the road. But if you hire somebody to do something and you don't know how to do it, how do you know they're doing it right? How do you know if it's the best? They say it's the best, but if they're just making videos for other people, why aren't they doing it for themselves? That's my big question. So I mean, I have courses and I do training, but this is stuff I do every day. I actually practice it every day. That's why I feel qualified to do a course. So I would say, yeah, and I'm looking at the same thing. I got my phone set up off here to the side. I'm really technically dialed in now. Maybe.
Yeah, likewise. Fine.
Let's see. And good ad content, there's books out there. Read some Dan Kennedy stuff. I mean, he'll tell you how to do ad content. You probably can pop out a few names. I can't think of them off the top of my head. Frank Kern's got some good stuff. I like some of his stuff.
Yep. Well, I know
what they're doing.
Nick just had Depeche on yesterday, and Depeche has got some amazing content out there people can watch, with CBO and all sorts of cookbook stuff that they've got going on. Some of that shit I don't even know about. Like I outsourced a lot of that stuff, but to your point, I knew enough about it that I could at least have conversational, educated conversations with the people that I was working with, and also the motivation was performance based. So frequently, when you can line up with somebody that's performance based, maybe you don't need to necessarily know every nut and bolt about it, because they don't get paid unless you get paid. That's those are some of the partnerships that I like working with as well.
Yeah, so it's not like paying somebody $25,000 to set up a website for you.
Yeah, would not do that again. Don't recommend that, not unless you know more about it. Especially, don't do it and try it with like 7 products at the same time.
Oh my God.
Didn't work. What's a big mistake you've made in the past? I know those of us that have been in it been doing a lot of them, but tell us about one big mistake that you could, if you could avoid, you would.
I would say focus. Focusing on something. And I'm going to give you a big example of focus. In the beginning, I started running ads on Google, and this is 2010, 11. And my idea was to run a text ad and send them to my website. Now, that's not real focused. I was spending $1,500 a month just sending people to my homepage. Now, people don't really understand. I know you're looking like I'm crazy, right? People don't really understand. An ad is for a particular product. They should have one choice when they land on the page, and it should be to buy or not buy. And the buy choice should be to buy 1, 3, or 10. But I didn't know that back then. So when I say focus, I mean throughout everything you do, be focused. Focus on your audience. Focus on one product. Just focus. Don't do anything general. Don't try to sell to everybody. I see YouTube channels, and it's a business YouTube channel, and they're talking about real estate, and they're talking about stocks, and they're talking about savings accounts. It's just like you're never going to develop an audience if you don't niche down. And I didn't niche down in the beginning. I didn't know that. I thought everybody in the country needed survival food, and they do. Don't get me wrong, but that wasn't my audience because I wasn't speaking to everybody. And when I would do an ad, I would, general, entire U.S., every age group. I didn't know, or I just didn't know. And now it's like I specifically target people and retarget people, and people who have seen my content and all that stuff. So get as focused as you possibly can. And it's tough in the beginning because you don't know what you don't know. It's just the way it is. But think about focus. That would be it. And then every day when you get up, make sure you're focused on what you're going to do. I know when I get up in the morning what I'm going to do. I know the night before what I have to do tomorrow. And, I'm a little bit hard on myself, and I'll give myself a list of 100 things to do, and I never get through them all. But I start with all the things that I know that have to get done. And how do I determine those things? The things that's going to get me results the fastest. So I know that, like yesterday, I had to write. I have a coaching call on Friday, so I had to write that. But I put it off because I knew that if I got the ads done, that's going to get me results faster. And then I could work on the coaching call today because I still got one more day. So get really focused on what's going to make a difference in your life today. That's super important.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you. And in fact, I think we've got next week, I've got Charles Bird. You remember meeting him on the Marketers Cruise? He's got
Not only met him, I did an interview with him.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So his curriculum around Evernote. I sat down last Friday and Saturday, and I took the pile of paperwork and shit sitting on my coffee table, and I went through and tagged and categorized and organized all of that crap, and just like the weight of the world was off my shoulders, and like the pile of papers that I was able to throw in the trash afterwards was just completely freeing. And now I've got this this tagging system that he taught me in his course for organization, and it was brought to my attention because somebody was sharing with me their daily planner. So like what you were just talking about, knowing what you're doing every day. And I see people running around with their daily planners and they're writing in them, literally writing in them. And I can't do that. Like I don't want to spend the time to write in it, and then I have to either transcribe it to somewhere that I can search later, or it's gone forever because I'm not going to go like flipping through pages again and go look and find, what it was. So that's what prompted. I was this close to going online and buying the same planner this person talked about.
Wow.
And when I put it in my my checkout page. Now, this is something else I'm doing now. I'll put something in my checkout page and leave it for 24 hours. If after 24 hours I still want to buy it, I'll go ahead and buy it.
That's smart. Yeah.
But that reduces my impulse buying dramatically. And so this was one of those situations. I put this planner in my or my shopping cart, and I just left it alone. And the next day I was thinking to myself, wait a second. I remember bumping into Charles at this event, and he had this whole like the formula and process using Evernote, which I've already got Evernote. It's pretty much free. I guess you can upgrade to the premium or whatever.
Right.
So I went through, and his course is like 3.5 hours long. I watched it all. I sat down. I literally went through the whole thing, and I almost never complete courses. I went through it, and I started implementing it. And then, we had a call earlier this week about scheduling him to come on. So I want to introduce this to the folks at Ecom Empires, because there's so much shit that you have to keep track of, and processes, and ad sets and product, doing product research, like all that sort of stuff that if people don't have a system in place for organizing that crap. I think Charles's organization method is the way to go. So that was that focus for me. Really, you drove the nail home for me on that one.
Yeah, I've looked at his program, and matter of fact, he turned me on to Kathy Deemers, and I did a interview with her also. And yeah, he's a great guy. So they should really love that.
Yeah.
Jessica says she loves Evernote. Look at her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jessica Fisher. Oh my God, that's my wife.
Holy cow. How'd she know you were on here? Awesome. So, JR, we've been getting into some pretty good stuff here and there. I've got a question about what was like a kick to the gut moment for you? Like, what was something that just brought you to your knees, literally took the wind out of your sails? Take us there. Make us feel that. Like, what happened there?
Well, I get kicked to the gut a lot. My gut's pretty sore.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. When I first started, I think, and you guys are going to relate to this because you're going to have problems. When I first started, I didn't have my own brand of survival food. It wasn't there. I was selling in other companies, and, I had gone from selling, first off, we're selling a few $100 a month, and we got up to 4,000. And then one month we did $80,000 in this survival food, this other brand that I was selling. And I thought, wow, I've made it. I've done it. So I went in, told my boss I'm quitting. I went and got this little tiny warehouse. I think it was like 900 or 650 square feet. And it had this little dumpy office in the front that I had to put flooring on. And then it had a little warehouse area in the back that was so tiny a truck couldn't get back there for delivery. So we had to go in the front door. But I was in business, and I was excited. And one of my orders didn't get delivered for like a week. And I was on eBay at the time, and I had about 300 or 400 orders on eBay, or not orders, listings on eBay. And then another one got delayed, like 10 days. Now, eBay doesn't like this stuff. eBay wants you to deliver your stuff as fast as you possibly can. And then all of a sudden, all my orders were like 10 days late. So I called up the company, and lo and behold, I found out that they had somebody else making the product for them, and they were putting their orders aside to make some other bigger client stuff. And they said, yeah, it's going to be a couple weeks. I'm like, well, I can't do that. People are going to get really upset. So, I waited and I refunded some people, and then it was 3 weeks. And then they said it's going to be a month and a half. Well, one day eBay contacts me and says, we're taking $22,000 out of your account for reserves because you're starting to have refunds. And oh, by the way, we just canceled every listing you have on eBay. Now, understand, I've quit my job. I'm sitting in this warehouse just staring at the wall going, what do I do now? So at a moment like that, and by the way, I was a single dad at the time. I was raising 2 kids, and I had them 100% of the time. So I'm like, oh, crap. This is a real issue right now. So I thought to myself, well, that survival food wasn't that good. It didn't taste that wonderful. I wonder if I could come up with my own, survival food. So I got together with a company that manufactures, and we came up with a really good line of survival food, and I called it Survival Cave Food, which is my brand now. If I had not had that problem with that company, I would not have a brand called Survival Cave Food to this day, 10 years later. And the funny thing was, not only that, but when I came up with that brand, and it's a long story how I got it sold, but people started saying, well, we want proteins. You don't have any proteins. All you've got is this vegetarian stuff and, freeze-dried. We don't want protein. So I got an alliance with a company that could do some canning for me, and we came up with a process to can meats. And these canned meats would last 12 to 15 years. There were no preservatives, additives, chemicals, and that took off. That became our number one product. So I think what I would share with people is you're going to run into difficulties. I mean, that's just a given. It's going to happen. And I know I'm going to hit more, and I'm hitting some every day, and I'm sure you do too, Nate. But those opportunities, I automatically said opportunities, those problems really are opportunities. And I can think back to one other thing. About 3 years ago, I was going to my warehouse in Ohio, and my wife had to get me a ride to the warehouse. And I usually park my car out the street, and she parks hers in the driveway. And she was going to give me a ride, so we're taking her car. We walk out there, we look in the driveway, and there's no car. There's just no car. And I looked at her, and I said, well, your car's stolen. Let's take mine. She goes, how do you know that? I said, well, it's not there. And she says, this is horrible. I said, no, it's not. It's the best thing in the world. She says, well, how do you figure that? I said, I don't know yet. I don't know, but I think it's the best thing in the world. Now, she didn't particularly like that car. It had 15,000 miles on it. And they did later find that car, and it was smashed into a bunch of other cars. It had drugs and weapons, and it was just horrible. So they totaled the car, and the insurance company ended up paying her more than what the car was worth. She got a much nicer car and one that she really liked. So if you hit these obstacles, these problems, and you think, I'm screwed, I'm done, this is awful. No, you're not. No, you're not. You just need to change directions a little bit. And I know, Nate, you've been down some of these roads too. We all have if we've done anything in life. The only way to protect yourself from these things, for those of you out there who don't want to have these bad things happen to you, I'm going to tell you how you can get around it. Go sit in your room in the corner and don't ever come out. And then nothing bad will ever happen to you. You're safe, which we know we can't really do. So just understand bad stuff happens, and it's an opportunity. That's it.
You can get through it. Absolutely.
Yeah, sure you can.
So, JR, so you do some coaching and some training and stuff. What type of training do you have available to beginners?
I have a couple of things. Matter of fact, if you're listening on here now, I want to give you a free course. And I don't know, can you type in there? Let me see if I've got to get that link for you, Nate.
Maybe Jessica can type it in. Jessica, if you're listening, can you?
Yeah, Jessica, can you type in the J.R. Fisher one? Is what you need to type in there, not the Kartra one. That won't work. Let me get back to my screen here so I can see you. Yeah. So anyhow, that course is a series of 4 videos. The cost is a big fat zero. It's worth probably $500. But that's more of a benefit because you guys are members of Ecom Empires, Ecom Legends. So that's a benefit to you. I don't normally hand out free courses, but I'm doing that for Nate. We have some other training, of course. I do some coaching. I have a course, a full course called digital. What's the name of the course? I can't remember the name of the course. I have one that's Facebook Ads University. And Jessica, if you would name it, type in the name of that other course in there too, if she's still listening. And I don't know if she is. Let me grab this because she was in and out, Nate. I want to make sure everybody gets the benefit of this.
And then maybe you can talk a little bit about if you do personal coaching and how that works and how people.
I do. That is a very, very, very limited thing. I take on a few people a year, and I do have a link to that too. And I'm pulling up some of this. I apologize for not having this ready. I thought it would be there, but Jessica's gone. So give me 1 second here to find this thing. And there it is. Okay, got it. Now, this course is really cool. All you're going to have to do, there's a little video there. When you get to the page, you can watch the video, and it's going to tell you what is in the course, the free one that you're going to get.
So what level is this for? Is this for like some of the newer folks? Is intermediate?
I would say newer to intermediate. Yeah. So if you haven't done a whole lot or you want to increase your business, this would be a really great course for you to go through. And the fact that it's free is not bad either.
Yep.
That's pretty good. Now, if you have
I'm sorry, let me interrupt for a second. This is a great supplement to Nick's free course as well. So those of you that it is appalling the number of people that are in the Ecom Empires Facebook group that still don't know about Nick's free academy. You go to ecomempires.co and sign up for it. It's free.
Jessica found that link at the same time I did, so she posted that in there. Now I also have a inner circle for those of you who are a little bit more advanced level. And you want to, get access to, and my inner circle, basically what that is you get access to all my courses. It's like $46,000 worth of stuff, and you pay a monthly fee to have access to that. And we do weekly coaching calls, which I'm doing one tomorrow. I do those every week. And those are live, so you can actually ask questions of me. You can get input on those things, so you get direct access. And then I have actual one-on-one coaching. That's something that people have to ask for. They have to apply for. A little bit tougher to get into that because obviously I've got limited spots for that. But that's some good stuff too. Hey, Jeff's there. I just saw Jeff, Nate.
Yeah, I know. I saw Jeff. Our buddy Paul's in here. He's been asking some questions. Maybe we should circle back to some of these. He was asking.
Why not?
This is a question that I'm interested in too.
Well, guys, we have another technical difficulty here, but it's okay. So what I'd like to do real quick, guys, is let me go back to my screen here. And I don't know why that interview, we're having a hard time with it. It doesn't want me to talk. But those of you who were invited to this session today, check out the Inner Circle. There's members in here today, and obviously there's a couple non-members that we invited. If you got invited to this and you're getting value out of this, check out the Inner Circle. It's just jrinnercircle.com/enroll. There's a free video there. It'll show you everything you get. And as you see at the top, you're 12 times more likely to succeed as a member. So, it's definitely something you'll want to check out. You could submit, your ads, your landing pages, sales pages, websites, products, and I'll look over all this, your pricing, your funnels, emails, subject headlines, ideas, all this stuff. And of course, your frustrations, failures, and successes. And I'll help you out with this. And I spent some time on the phone the other day with Christine. I don't know if is Christine on the call today?
I think so.
All right. So, and that's a benefit that you get where, we will help you out. And Christine, Jessica is going to work on your stuff this weekend. I forgot to give it to her. It got emailed to me. I didn't give it to her. But anyhow, she was running into some difficulties on stuff, and people wanted to charge her a ton of money to do stuff. And we're like, no, as one of the benefits of, being an Inner Circle member, we can help you out. And that way you do save that money because, we can help you out one-on-one. That's what we're here for, to save you money and to move you forward. So, check out the Inner Circle if you're not a member. It's a great, asset to have. Also check out Kartra if you don't have Kartra. There's a link there. You can try it out for $1. Kartra actually is your email system, sales pages, landing pages, memberships, everything. Everything's in Kartra. So it's really pretty awesome. And that's just bit.ly/Kartra-uppercase JR. And you can check that out. So, we're going to entertain maybe a couple questions. We're really out of time today because that interview went really long and I still didn't play all of it, unfortunately. I tell you what I will do, guys. I'll post that interview in the group, the Art of E-Commerce Success, and of course, Inner Circle members, it'll be in the group there too.
And that way you can watch the full interview and see all the stuff that happened at the end, which are amazing. You don't want to miss that. The ending is quite amazing. So, Jessica, do you have any questions over there for me? I do see one from Mark. He's asking, what do you get in the inner circle? The inner circle, basically, Mark, you get access to us and our team, and we give you $46,000 worth of free training, software, videos. I mean, it's pretty amazing. I know you got a Facebook ads course in there. You've got a digital marketing course in there. You've got Digital Cash Academy in there. You've got Web Cash Academy in there. You've got Ecom Road in there. You've got email earning systems in there. And it's just for a small fee each month that you have access to all that. So that's pretty good. Let's see here. Somebody else was asking about Nate. Didn't he used to have a really super long beard? Yes, he did. And he just shaved that off. Well, it's been getting shorter and shorter, but he did have a beard that was almost a foot long when I met him about a year ago. It was a really cool look. I mean, some people look cool with a beard like that. He kind of looked like a ZZ Top kind of guy, but he has since shaved it off and changed all that. So I'm going to go ahead and close it down now. And I really appreciate you guys listening. To see the full interview, go to the group. I'll have it up by this weekend. If I can help you out in any way, don't forget to message me online. I'm always there to help you guys. Check out the Art of E-Commerce Success. If you're not a member, you do have to ask to join that. And check out the Inner Circle, like I said. And Jessica, would you like to tell everybody goodbye?
Yeah, have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you very much, guys. You take it easy and have an awesome weekend. Talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks for watching my video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click that little bell right there so you can be notified every time I do a new video. Also, click on one of those videos there. Keep watching on my channel.